Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 8-game NBA main slate on Sunday. If this is your first time watching, welcome. My name is DK. I make content for Draftkings, NBA Top Shot, and for PrizePicks, which PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. PrizePicks is a player prop site that a ton of different ways you can play. You can take over-under on fantasy points, over-under on points, assists, rebounds, three-pointers made. You can mix and match sports. Again, this is all the sports that I have at the top. Basically, every single sport you can think of, esports, EuroLeague basketball, women's college basketball, everything. So you pick 2 to 5 player props, and you can win up to 10 extra money. So if you're a first-time user and want to give it a try, you can sign up and use my code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. And if you're interested in premium content for DFS, I do offer that on patreon.com. NBA package as well as gold package, which includes esports. And we have USFL coming up in a couple weeks. Super, super excited about that. I will be covering that. So more info is down below. But all right, so let's get into the video real quick. Let's take a look back mine up here from tonight. So Patty Mills put up a Tony Snell-esque performance in like 30 minutes. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 of 7 shooting. But yeah, rest of my lineup. So I like stacking up that Brooklyn Atlanta game. I used Trey with KD. That worked out really, really well. I used James Johnson as a lower owned value play. I talked a lot about the values here for Brooklyn. Spent a good amount of time too about Cam Thomas, so I liked him as a pivot off of Patty Mills. The reason I didn't do it is because I already had low owned guys, right? I knew Gobert was not going to be popular. I knew James Johnson was going to be low owned. I didn't think Patrick Williams and Otto were going to be that popular. So it came down to a situation where if I had a pretty popular lineup, I would have played Cam Thomas or Patty Mills. But since I already had some contrarian pieces in it, I didn't feel necessary to make that play. But I spent a ton of time. I was like, all right, if all the field is going to play Patty Mills, why not look to Cam Thomas at a fraction of the ownership? Because I was like, all Patty Mills is going to do is stand in the corner. If he doesn't make a shot, he has a low floor. Well, 0 of 7, right? 1 fantasy point. So the tilting part is first place here was 16 points. So if I did go to Cam Thomas, I would have taken it down. But again, not a lot of regret just because I had lower owned pieces. So I didn't feel it was necessary to do that. But I was surprised how low on James Johnson was. Now, I wasn't super confident in minutes, but the Nets realistically we're going to run 8-9-man rotation. So I figure there's a chance James Johnson would play a good chunk more, and he did. He played a lot and had a solid game. Gobert was a low on piece I really, really liked there against Golden State. He went for 45. That was huge. It was all over Poole, but again, majority of the field was too at 75% ownership. Patrick Williams, not going to lie, I got a little bit lucky here. He had 12-6-2 with 2 blocks and a steal in an awful matchup. It was just my last piece filler, and I was praying. I was like, all right, Patrick Williams, just please don't kill me. So not going to lie, I got a little bit unlucky there. And Otto Porter, the minutes were there. He just didn't do much, so that was a little bit frustrating. But all in all, it was a solid 4x, a little over 4x day for myself. So no complaints. The previous slate, too, so I didn't make a video recap that really quick. Had a solid night. I stacked the Clippers. We're really going to play Robert Covington 46 minutes, though? I mean, why do the Clippers close with Covington in that meaningless game over young guys like Terrence Mann and Luke Kennard? Like, all 3 are in the regular rotation of Mann, Kennard, and Covington. But, like, dusty old Robert Covington's going to play 46 minutes, but the young guns and Kennard and Mann sit in the bench? I was like, that tilted me because... again, I full stacked the Clippers. The one guy did not have, Covington, plays 46 minutes. And how about this, too? So, I know this is going back a day, but I go to a low-owned Hartenstein. We get news, Ty Lue, Zubac is not going to play normal minutes. Normal minutes for Zubac. I promise you, this year in NBA DFS, if you just ignore or do the opposite of what coaches say, you're going to be an extremely profitable player in the long term. So God, coaches, that tilts me the most is when coaches just straight up lie. Ownership in high stakes. Lowry, 20%. Patty Mills, 80%. KD, 50%. Draymond, 30% or 50%. Drummond was 100% owned. I knew he'd be popular. I let Gobert as the pivot off of Drummond, and that worked out. Poole, 80% owned. Max Struss was 60%. What else? Yeah, nothing else too surprising there. So winning lineup in high six was 290. What did I finish with? 291. So technically would have won that. But yeah, that is it for the look back, guys. Hope you had a good night. It was a really, really solid night for myself. So let's talk about this 8-game slate. We'll start off in Philadelphia and Cleveland. So on the Cleveland side, Mobley, Allen not expected to play here. So this is not the same, tougher matchup. You're going to have Moses Brown or Kevin Love as the big. So Joel Embiid should be able to feast here. 11.8K is a little bit pricey, but still like his upside. He's gone for 60 plus in 3 of the last 4 games. Harden at 10-4 would just rather go to Embiid. Harden has shown a lower floor than Embiid, so I would prioritize Embiid over Harden. And then just nothing else really stands out with a fully healthy team with Tobias or Maxey. They're kind of just there. On the Cleveland side, so again, Allen Mobley not expected to play. I think Garland at 9-7 is a fine contrarian play. Not necessarily the best matchup, but still has a ceiling, will play big minutes. Karis LeVert, to no one's surprise, when he was like 90% owned 2 slates ago, bust. The next day, an absolute smash, right? You knew that was going to happen, but in a competitive game, he's going to play like 35 minutes, so I think he's still playable, but not as good of a play as he was the previous slate. Kevin Love, 6'3", minutes are kind of all over the place still, even with a couple of bigs out, so like he still has a ceiling, but just a tournament play. And then Moses Brown, if he can stay out of foul trouble, I think is a fair value play, but you have to realize who he's going up against, Joel Embiid. So, like, there's a good chance he gets into foul trouble. So, if he does, that could be more minutes Kevin Love. So, if you want to try to play that narrative of like, oh, I'm going to play for the Moses Brown foul trouble narrative and go to Kevin Love, I don't think it's the worst idea because if Kevin Love does get more minutes, we know, again, he's complete dust on the defensive end, but he's actually still a pretty productive player on the offensive end. New York and Orlando, so Randall shut down for the season. RJ Barrett shot like 430 today, but he's going to play most likely pretty big minutes in a good matchup. So I think RJ looks like a pretty good player here in the mid-range. Burks was in some foul trouble at 6.9K. I don't love the price. Would rather go to Barrett for an extra 1,000. Mitch Robinson, we know, is a ceiling. He's a frustrating roster, though, because he is prone to foul trouble. But I do like his upside for tournaments. I think quickly plays 25 to 30 minutes on the bench. We know he'll be a productive player. I think he's viable in tournaments. Fournier, Obi Toppin should play over 30 minutes. I think he's a decent option, but not like a smash play here at that price. Don't think I consider anyone else on the Knicks. On the Magic side, well, Cole Anthony and Franz Wagner are both questionable. I don't expect Wagner to play. I think Cole Anthony has more up in the air, but if they both miss, I just don't even know what the Magic are going to do with the starting lineup. I don't know if they want to start Fultz because I don't think they want to play him more than 20 minutes. So maybe they'll just keep him off the bench. They might have to dust off like Gary Harris. Gary Harris hasn't played in a couple weeks, 322. So they might just have to dust him off and start like RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, Shumo, Kiki, Brosdegas, and Bamba or something like that. I don't know. So the Magic... We'll see if they do the starting lineup. Mo Bamba did see more minutes last game, played 33 minutes. We know he has a ceiling. He's gone for 40 plus in 2 of the last 4. So obviously in play for tournaments. If Cole Anthony plays, sure, you can take a shot at him for tournaments. But again, the minutes have not been great on him recently. If they both miss, and keep eyeing the starting lineup, like I said, we'll monitor it. Hampton could be a potential value, but he's been pretty bad. Now, if Cole Anthony's out too, he could be like their main ball handler. So then he could look more appealing. A guy like Mo Wagner, we know is a good point per minute guy. If he sees a minutes increase, I think he could be a potential value. Don't know if I can go to Brosdegas or anyone else. But again, we'll monitor the Orlando news. Minnesota and Houston's a great matchup here. The question is, can the Rockets keep the game competitive? If they can, I think the big 3 in Cat, Edwards, and D'Lo all look pretty good. They all played solid minutes last game against Denver. We saw 31 minutes for Towns. I think he was in a little bit of foul trouble. But Anthony Edwards played 40 minutes, and D'Angelo Russell played like 37. So I think all 3 are in play here in a great matchup. I don't know if there's one that stands out more than the other, but I like all 3 of the main Minnesota guys. I think Patrick Beverley is a pretty safe play at 4.9. Should see close to 30 minutes, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. And obviously Houston is awful in defensive end. The rest of Minnesota, don't know if I get to anyone else. I guess I'll mention Naz Reid. There's a chance Minnesota still blows out Houston. If they do and Naz Reid gets extended run, we know he's a very productive player. Again, I don't think it's necessary to do it, but I wanted to mention it. And if Beasley's out, sure, he can look like Noel, who should see over 20 minutes and kind of play the Malik Beasley role off the bench on the Houston side. So we do have Sengun back. So little bit of a different situation. I've been all over the Houston guards last couple of days. Especially on prize picks and on DraftKings with Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. But now we have Sengun back, and he's a high usage big. So you are going to lose some usage for KPJ, lose some usage for Jalen Green. But I still think they're going to play big minutes if the game stays competitive. So still like KPJ and I like Jalen Green, but maybe not as much if Sengun was out. Like I would still like these guys a lot. With Sengun in, they're not like smash plays, but I still think they're definitely viable. And then Sengun himself at 7K. Would assume he starts and plays low 30s minutes. I think he's viable. I don't love 7K for him, but I think he will be very productive when he's on the court. Value, probably can't get to the value. Jayshawn Tate's too priced for me. Christopher's priced up. The bigs are out of play now with Sengun back. I guess Garrison Matthews, he played 33 minutes last game. Scoring dependent player. It's always frustrating roster, but if he knocks down the shots to get his last game, obviously he does have a ceiling. Phoenix and Oklahoma City. So here's a situation where you gotta be careful, right? We're coming up on the end of the regular season. I think we have like a little over a week left. So Phoenix guaranteed the 1 seed right now. They're resting a lot of guys. A couple of the veterans are playing though. So like, don't be surprised if you see like Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges only play a half or something, right? That is the reason it didn't end up happening. But I didn't play Bobby Portis 2 slates ago. I went over it a lot in the Discord. Mike Budenholzer, for the Bucks the last couple of years, had done it where like he would play a main guy or two in the last couple of games, but only play him like a little bit. So like I was worried with Portis' minutes, he still smashed. But it's kind of my same worry here at the Phoenix guys. So if I knew for sure Chris Paul was going to play normal minutes here at 8.2K, I would really, really like him. But I'm not so sure in a meaningless game they want to run big minutes for Chris Paul and like a guy like Mikal Bridges. So like, right? I don't really know what to do in this spot. Also, I'm not sure who they start. Like, do they start Campaign alongside Chris Paul? Do they go to Shamet at the 2? Like the starting lineup. Well, first let's talk about McGee, who I think is a really good value play because he is super productive when he's on the court. Now, we've seen it, when Ayton was out, that McGee usually doesn't get a huge minutes bump. Like, I expect it to be a pretty even split with him and Bismack Biyombo. But obviously, again, McGee should be the much more productive player. But I would expect Biyombo to get good run here, too. So I like both the Phoenix bigs quite a bit, McGee and Biyombo. I do think McGee will get all the ownership, but don't forget about Biyombo. Like, McGee is not going to come out here and play 30 minutes, right? He's not a guy that's going to play huge minutes. I think it's going to be a pretty even split, maybe like a 24-24 split, something similar to that. So I think both the bigs look really, really good here with McGee and with Biyombo. Now, starting lineup, again, I think if I had to guess, I would say it's Paul, Shamet, Cam Johnson, Bridges, McGee. That's what I think starts. So, like, if you think Chris Paul is going to be limited, then sure, you can look to a guy Campaign at 4.7, who we know is a good point per minute guy. You're probably going to see more minutes for a guy, Torrey Craig, who I think becomes a potential value. Again, I mentioned Shamet. I would guess he starts at the 2. Viable, again, low usage guy, but probably see some pretty big minutes. You probably see some minutes for a guy like Aaron Holiday, who's been out of the rotation for a while. So we'll see. I want to look into news. Maybe we get some confirmation on some sort of limit for the main guys, but I would just say proceed with caution. Not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't play Chris Paul, but what I'm saying is you can't be mad if you play Chris Paul and he only plays a half. If Chris Paul comes out and plays 38 minutes and he smashes and you play him, good for you. But you have to realize there is a chance that he sees limited minutes. All right. On the Thunder side, so this team. Pokusevski, questionable. He missed the last game with an illness. I would expect he plays. And then we have Robinson Earl, questionable with a foot. So we'll see about that. He's been, was it a foot or was it a hamstring that kept him out for a while? I think it was the foot. So that's probably a sign that he doesn't play. I mean, there's only a few games left, so there's no reason to push a young guy like that. So I don't think he would play. So I think it would be 8 guys then with Maladon, Pokashevsky, so many plays would be 2, Roby 3, Waters 4, Horde 5, Wiggins 6, Fit 7, Sar 8. I believe it would be 8 guys if Pokashevsky plays and Robinson Earl does not. And that's what I think happens. So main guys here, Roby has cost me infinite money. I play this guy, just does nothing. Fade him, 50 bomb, right? But obviously we know he has a ceiling when I don't play him. Maladon, again, had him 2 slates ago, subpar game. Next game, 50 bomb. So he has a ceiling. Pokashevsky, assuming he plays, should play over 30 minutes. The main guys for Thunder look pretty good. And then the value is intriguing too. Like Jalen Ford came out and played 40 minutes. He's a decent rebounder, 11 and 20 last game. Now, probably a little bit of an outlier game, but he's still a pretty productive player. So as I mentioned, Horde, I think Vit, Wiggins, and Lindy Waters are all fine options. Olivier Sarr, not a super productive player, but probably sees around 30 minutes. So would be a decent amount to like here still for the Thunder, assuming it's an 8-man rotation. Portland and San Antonio. So this Portland team right now, kind of just staying away from. They're just awful. And they have like 10 or 11 guys active. So it's really hard to get to anyone on this team. Like I'll mention, again, Eubanks in a revenge game. If you think they can keep it competitive, he probably does see over 30 minutes. So he'd be maybe the one guy to consider. Value-wise, yeah, you can maybe take a shot on like a cheap Reggie Perry and hope he gets it done in 15 to 20, or a Greg Brown or a Chris Dunn. But I just don't know if I want to mess with it because I think he's going to run 10, 11 guys and everyone's going to play like 25 minutes. You might get like 30 minutes from Eubanks. So, not a lot I like on the Portland side. And the San Antonio side, keep an eye on Murray, also pretty much questionable. So, if Jonathan Murray can't go, we have Trey Jones would become a pretty good value play. Played 33 minutes last game. Would most likely start and probably see at least 25 minutes. And then more usage for the likes of Keldon, Pirtle, Vassell, Richardson, Lonnie Walker, probably see more minutes. Those guys would all become playable if DeJounte Murray is out. And Zach Collins had a massive game last game, again, partly due to the blowout, but he'll play the backup 5. He's a fair value play. If the game blows out again, he could get extended. Miami and Toronto, so might be a good game to watch. Maybe not so much for DFS purposes. 2 pretty solid defensive teams. Both teams basically fully healthy. To be honest, there's nothing that stands out to me on the Miami side. If you want to take a shot on one of those main guys, sure. Lowry's price went up a bit. I guess he still looks okay at 6'4". Struss has been playing more minutes of late, but his price is now 4'2". It's just nothing I love. I guess PJ Tucker's playable at 3'5". Toronto's like kind of the same thing. Like, everyone's basically healthy here, so there's just not much I like. Golden State and Sacramento. So, Golden State has been running a little bit of a tighter rotation of late. So, still no Steph Curry. Obviously, he's out for the regular season. Jordan Poole 8-1. I still like him here. I mean, him and Klay Thompson in a competitive game, they're going to play about 40 minutes. Question is, does this game stay competitive? Because this Kings team is awful. But, yeah, I like the upside a lot in Poole. Klay Thompson, we saw in a big game tonight. He has a little bit of a lower floor, like this game last game. But we know the ceiling is there, like the game tonight. So, the 2 main guards in play. I do prefer Poole, though, to Thompson. No interest really in Wiggins. Draymond played 33 minutes tonight. His stats aren't updated yet, but I think he's a decent option in the mid-range, a guy that can kind of stuff the stat sheet. The bigs, like Kuminga and Looney Bielitsa, probably don't get to them. We've seen Golden State been running a lot more small ball, and Otto Porter's been the beneficiary of that. He's been playing a lot more. So I think he's a solid option at 4.8K. Don't know if I get to anyone else in this team, though. On the Sacramento side, so Davion Mitchell is going to play 40 minutes no matter what. Game stays competitive or the game blows out, he's playing the minutes. So, it's not a super cheap price point, but he's going to play huge minutes. So I'm perfectly fine if you want to go to Davion there at 7-7. Damian Jones is 6'6", has played over 30 minutes the last couple games. Back-to-back 50 bombs. Should be pretty productive. But back-to-back, I think, kind of outlier games for Damian Jones. So still think he's viable, but don't expect 50 again from him. This grouping of Barnes and DiVincenzo and Lyles all look very similar to me. No real standouts there. The value plays, there's nothing really. I guess Chesney Metu played 27 minutes last game. There's no guarantee he plays those minutes again. And finally, Pelicans and Clippers. So what I will say about the Pelicans is they've been running a pretty tight rotation. So you're seeing big minutes for the main guys over the last couple games. You saw 41 minutes for CJ. You've been consistently seeing mid-30s minutes. You saw 38 actually for Jonas Valanciunas. And Brandon Ingram finally was off of minutes and played 35. So I think all 3 play big minutes here for the Pelicans in an important game. So I like all of the studs. CJ, JV, and Ingram. I don't really have a super strong take on which one I prefer. I guess JV probably has the highest floor just because he's like a good rebounder. And he should be able to feast against like Zubac and Hartenstein. So yeah, I mean, I think all three of the big three there for the Pelicans look pretty good, but nothing else I'm really interested in. Herbert Jones is playing big minutes, but I don't think we have to go there. Larry Nance should play 15 to 20 minutes on the bench, but I think there's better value on the slate. And finally, the Clippers. So we'll keep an eye on Paul George news. They kept him, pretty limited here, 31, 32 minutes. But if we get a minutes bump here for Paul George, he does have a ceiling. So interested in Paul George for tournaments. Definitely not paying 6.8K for Robert Covington, that is for sure. Reggie Jackson, again, Ty Lue, flat out lie, just playing these guys just big minutes. So expect Ty Lue to continue to lie and Reggie Jackson to play like mid-30s minutes in competitive games. So he is playable there. And then don't really know if I get to the secondary options. Maybe Morris and Batum become viable. They did play pretty big minutes last game. So yeah, those guys are playable. Again, like if I knew for sure Nick Batum's going to play 38 minutes again, then yeah, I would like him. No guarantee in that. But yeah, the two wings, Morris and Batum are fine. And then the center situation, Hartenstein and Zubac kind of split the minutes. We've seen at times Hartenstein play a little bit more, but I don't think either are must-plays in this one. So yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up the Sunday slate. We have a lot of games, early games as well. So NBA all day. Excited to just sit on my couch tomorrow and watch a bunch of NBA games. So appreciate you guys watching the video as always. If you do enjoy, just make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see everyone in the next video.